and it's gonna be like the biggest project that I do.
To be honest, my memory's a little fried, and that's because of some other shit I really shouldn't say on camera.
Okay, so Kiki, I feel a little mad at you, girl. No fronting. Cause that ass. Because okay, Kiki. This chick.
Do something rather than sit at home and eat all day.
People wanna have a glass of wine, wanna eat a donut, you know?
No, it's like I'm just uncomfortable. Like the dude hit like, bro, y'all should have seen it. And I say, look, I'm wrong. But no, he gonna be good.
Look, man, I think this saying shit out of context, but like, trust you me. Yep. There's gonna be something that you either.
I want to be a millionaire. This is what it's gonna take for me to be a millionaire.
Like you came so far, so like, what's the point in stopping now?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like me saying, you know, run Forrest run, and he stopped running.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Transparent Podcast. I have a very, very special guest with me today. Really needs no introduction, but could you introduce yourself, let them know your name, and then where you're from?
So I go by Bambino The Barber, and I'm from a little bit of both. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm from Miami, Florida as well.
Okay. Hey, man, obviously I know who you are. The viewers, they don't, but first and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. I know we've been planning this for a good minute.
Quite a while,
So
yeah.
it's a little overdue, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one for sure. For my viewers, obviously, this is their first time seeing you on my little platform. Tell them a little bit about you. Tell them a little bit about life growing up, things like that, and then lead into what it is that both me and you know that you do.
All right, so I grew up, like I said, in a little bit of Brooklyn, New York when I was a kid. I went down in high school, Florida, so I've kind of been back and forth between the two. Just a little bit about me. I'm Italian American. Got a little bit of Irish, but Italian is probably what I claim the most. It's how I was raised, and kind of made me who I am today. It's kind of gave me my work ethics, and why I am the way I am is because of where I come from and how I was raised.
Man. So, man, that's good. So obviously you spent some time in New York, some time in Florida. So tell us just a little bit about Florida and a little bit about like New York, and maybe just either the culture, the food, or just the lifestyle, or what you prefer more, or what you was kind of more used to, or things like that.
So because I grew up in a split house. I mean, my parents divorced when I was a very young age. My mom stayed in New York. My father wasn't from Florida. So Miami was nice. It's kind of where I grew up as I was a little bit older. So I kind of got used to the culture, the nightlife, the partying, the beaches and stuff like that as I moved from Florida. As a kid, I spent a lot of time in New York. I mean, it's the neighborhoods I grew up in. I mean, New York is one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place in the world to be. I love where I was from. Coming from a small neighborhood, I lived a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandfather was a big influence for me. As you can see, the company name is named after my grandfather. He's my inspiration behind pretty much everything I've ever really done in my life, including my barbering. He's kind of been my motivation to be who I am today. And New York, they have a lot of similarities in the sense they're very diverse cultures. Food-wise, you can kind of get just about everything and anything in both states, just more or less preference. I mean, if you're looking for pizza and good Italian food, you go to New York. If you're looking for Cuban, Hispanic food and, some of that, you go down to Miami and you get a little bit of both. So,
man, a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So, obviously, you real good when it comes to the cutting and things like that. So tell us a little bit, like, when did that start? Was that always like the thing that you was like, I don't know, you kind of found your niche, or do you have multiple things and kind of honed in on that one thing? Like, tell us how that kind of really came about, and when did you like really start and taking it serious?
So I love getting my hair cut. I was always one of those meticulous people, everything had to be perfect. I loved haircuts and stuff like that. I was never really into hair cutting.
Okay.
Then I joined the military, and in the beginning of my military career, I was looking for like a little side hustle, something to kind of pass time when I was before I got stationed, where I was getting stationed and to be with my family.
Okay.
And I started learning how to cut hair. I was watching YouTube videos. I watched 360 Jeezy. I mean, I watched so many of these big time barbers you see today, Faded Culture, all these guys that you're seeing on TV today, Big Blends, Dre Clips, Clipper Hands. I watched all of them, and I kind of just picked it up, and for once in my life, I kind of figured out something that I could stick with. Because for the longest, I was never consistent with stuff. I liked things, and then I got tired of it fast.
Okay.
But then I started cutting hair, and I felt like that was my calling. You know, like that's
no
something
looking
that
back.
just stuck with me, and until this day, I absolutely love doing it.
Man, that's what's up, man. It definitely shows, man. Super nice with the cut, super, like you said, meticulous. You make sure every little detail is captured, so definitely good with that.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, we're here today on the pod. It's a little bit different. We're in the barber chair. We're going to jump into a haircut here in a sec. I'm just going to get, I say just like a taper, a little lineup, things like that. Clean me up real nice. And then we'll get into a few questions as he's cutting as well, just to mix it up a little bit. But here in a sec, you'll see us hop to the chair, and then we'll close it out. So we'll see you in a sec. All right. So we're getting ready for the cut. Here in a little bit, we'll get into some questions, things like that. But tell us, like, how old roughly were you when you started cutting?
I was probably about 27 years old when I started cutting.
Okay. So
I joined the military pretty late, so I mean, kind of that's when I found my niche, was going through training, and decided to proceed with cutting hair.
Okay.
Growing up, my family didn't have a lot of high hopes for me as a person. I was kind of hung around with a lot of these, not exactly the best of people. I was influenced by a lot of people that most people didn't have a lot of respect for. And so I had to find a way to kind of keep myself off of that path. That's kind of why I moved out of New York. Can't get too into detail with the people I used to hang out with, but they just weren't ideal people that a young kid should be hanging out with.
Gotcha.
If you want to compare me, people want to kind of compare me as when you think of like a Henry Hill or a Calogero from A Bronx Tale, Goodfellas. I was that kid. Those are the people kind of I hung around with and was influenced at a very young age. So.
Gotcha. So kind of was I guess a time to kind of separate yourself from the crowd in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
To kind of separate myself from how I was before, you know, kind of the path I was going down. My haircutting's kind of where I found my peace at. When I finally decided this is kind of what was making me happy in life. This is the one thing in my life that I stayed consistent with, and I never really fell off.
For sure. And like you said, it's a lot of things out there that you can, like, you know, kind of, you know, find to be like, you know, something like that you want to do different, but it's always hard, like you said, if you're not fully into it, to kind of stick with it. You know what I mean?
Because I feel like there's a lot of things that people want to do in life, and they realize it's more of a hobby than it is a job. You might love to do something, but it doesn't mean that's the career path for you. It could just be something that, you know, kind of makes you happy in life. But, like, I mean, I love cooking. I love doing a lot of stuff, but it's not, I realized very quickly they weren't my passion. I wasn't finding my peace in consistency, and kind of always finding myself trying to find ways to better myself as any other career outside of doing the cutting hair.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what it really came down to, is just you gotta find what you love and do it and stick with it.
So once you like with the military, cutting hair, things like that, were you able to, I don't know, would you say be able to get more clients per se when it comes to like the military? Because obviously, you know, like they got strict standards with like the haircuts and things like that. So would you say that's where most of your practice came from, or was it just kind of a mix? Or
Oh yeah, it was military helped me out a lot, because I found a lot of friends that kind of always needed haircuts on a daily basis, every week, every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of helped me build a lot of clientele because they were people that I worked with, and it made it to where I could do haircutting more often.
Okay.
So it kind of gave me that leadway, and as I settled in, moved into a neighborhood, then neighbors would start seeing me because all my military friends would come over,
Everybody pulling up.
and everybody's getting haircuts. So
Okay,
that was a big help in it.
For sure.
So yeah, I could definitely say it started with the military. Military people were definitely my first starting clientele. I mean, even to this day, I still have people that are military, and as they PCS and go elsewhere, they recommend me to their friends. So it
Man,
kind of
that's-
works out in my favor.
That's great, and it's crazy too because nowadays, the social media era is just so saturated. You know what I mean? That
Oh, yeah.
it's hard nowadays to get like a lot of like word of mouth. People spreading the word. So that's to your benefit on top of just social media, things like that.
It definitely is. I mean, I'm definitely old school. I was raised very differently. I wasn't big into social media and stuff like that until later on in life. As I got a little bit older, and I started using social media as a market, but word of mouth. When you come from a place like New York, like neighborhood, we all talk. So everybody knows everybody. If you have a nice reputation in the neighborhood, then you're gonna do good. People are gonna recommend you.
Yeah.
So that was a big influence for me.
For sure. And I know even, myself, that's, how I found about you, just, word of mouth. Brian, he was like, hey, you need a cut. You gotta come see him.
Oh yeah.
So, just that alone. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Having, like a mutual friend like that, I'm like, if he telling me, you know what I mean? This the guy, that's, you know what I mean? There's no questions after that.
And there's a certain, I guess you could say, group of people that you're gonna get haircuts from that they're gonna be very serious about their cut. So they're not gonna let just anybody cut their hair. So if you're not good, they're definitely not gonna recommend you.
No, yeah, that's a good point for sure.
And one thing I can say about the military, as I grew clientele, is I had so many people from so many different backgrounds, different races, different nationalities, everything. So I kind of got to dibble and dabble at every style. I didn't focus on just one type of person's haircut.
Yeah.
I had to be very versatile when it came to haircuts. I couldn't just do comb overs or waivers or lineups and stuff. I had to be able to kind of bounce around, because if you're gonna get recommended by people,
Exactly.
you gotta definitely fit the part, or else
Yeah.
it's not gonna work out for you.
No, for sure. Like you said, especially like you said with something like the military, so many, like you said, so many, backgrounds and people, that join from all different states, parts of the world.
Oh yeah.
And everybody, like you said, got different hair textures and ways they like to
Everybody's got
cut.
different styles,
Yeah.
And you gotta learn how to use. I was self-taught in everything I did, from straight razors to designs, pretty much everything. I pretty much self-taught myself how to do everything just off of YouTube.
That's crazy.
So I watch YouTube videos and I kind of school myself to the game. I've always been someone that I learn better by hands-on than I do, sitting there reading books.
Yeah.
So I kind of found my style, and I had to watch a lot of different barbers with a lot of different styles, and I kind of picked stuff from everybody's style that kind of what I liked.
Okay.
And it helped me develop,
Your own.
my own particular, style, how I cut hair. Because I tried to follow, one barber, and then realized some of that, it just wasn't working for me. Just because it works for one barber doesn't mean it's my style. So I had to kind of teach myself how to, pick and choose different things, and then, develop who I am.
Exactly.
And just, not rely on just one type of barber. I watched every kind of barber. I watched Hispanic barbers, Asian barbers. I watched barbers from Dubai, white, black barbers. I mean, I've watched pretty much everybody, and I kind of learned how to pick things from everybody's style that was able to help me develop mine.
Wow. And that's solid right there.
Yeah, it was,
And that's crazy because now thinking about it, it's like something like that. If we didn't have, you know, like social media or anything like that, that would be like, you know, flights and money spent to learn from, you know what I mean? All these different people when you can,
or
I mean?
you'd be limited. You'd be very limited to what, you know, if I only, like I cut my own hair, if I was only cutting just my hair, I would only know how to cut my texture. And if I had other clients, I wouldn't really know how to come at their hair and give them the hairstyle that they're looking for, because I would be too set on what's the only thing that I know.
No, I for sure feel that. I even experienced that, you know, when I went to Europe and I was, you know, needing to cut out there, and, you know, I was like, well, let me, you know, pop in this barbershop, and there was only maybe one guy out of so many that there was like, if you need a haircut, like, he's probably the best person to go to. And even that guy, he was like, hey, I don't really cut like your type of hair a lot. Like, he was up front, you know, until like, it was like, I think when I was leaving, I found somebody, I think they were from Nigeria that, you know, they were used to cutting my kind of texture of hair.
Yeah.
But like they were just so limited because they used to like one texture, you know?
I mean, it's better to have a barber that's honest. So if they know they can't cut your texture of hair and not just dive into your hair and then mess it up, you know? So it's better to have someone that's honest. If they don't know how to cut your hair, I mean, you can't really be mad at them.
No,
I mean, it only hurts their hustle. It's not really going to do nothing to you.
But like you said, for sure, you definitely got to respect that.
Yeah, you got to, I mean, some people specifically do that. I mean, you got barbershops that, you know, they specialize in like beards specifically. So they don't do much other than head shaves and beards. But, you know, unfortunately, if you, again, depending on the kind of clientele you're trying to attract, that's not going to be very beneficial if you only cut beards if someone don't have a beard.
Exactly.
You got to kind of put yourself at a plateau where you're going to reach a point where this is about as far as you go. The road ends there. And that's what you don't want to do. If you're trying to be a barber, like in this game, barbers before, they didn't do a lot of things. I mean, now you got barbers that do, you know, facials and, you know, black masks and hair dyeing and braiding and stuff like that. Wasn't always a thing.
Yeah.
A lot of barbers didn't have that ability. They kind of learned what they learned, and, you know, that was it. Nowadays, barbers are becoming not only barbers, but they're becoming stylists. And that's kind of where I want to take my grind to, is I want to be able to do it all. I don't want to be limited.
Exactly.
And I kind of want to keep myself to where, though, like, I mean, I like to keep the traditions. I mean, when you see my barbershop, you see my style. It's very old school, very throwback to what, you know, the old school barbershops were back in the day. And that's my vibe. That's my style. And that's the other thing, is you got to figure out your style, you know?
Exactly.
You got to figure out what fits you best. If you like, hey, you know, I want a modern barbershop with, you know, all the crazy lighting, you know, that's...
Yeah, foam machine.
Yeah, whatever you want, man. You got to have your style, but that's not my thing. That's not me.
Exactly. So you kind of incorporated just with, you know, from your early, what you grew up on, as far as like what was a barbershop to you and how it made you feel and kind of the vibe of it.
I mean, yeah, I kind of wanted to be able to walk in my own barbershop and feel like I did when I was a kid. You know, you go to the old Italian barbershops and on the corner, you know, we had our own little style. Like that was our thing. So it's like I'm trying to keep that same feel. Those are the barbershops that, you know, I went to growing up.
Exactly.
I didn't go to I didn't learn about you know, edge ups and, you know, a lot of that stuff till I moved to Florida, and I got exposed more to all the different type of neighborhoods and haircuts and stuff. Like before, my style was just kind of what it was.
Got you. But that's good because you know, you being a person that, like, I've always known you to like self-develop, and just kind of never settle for like You know what I mean? Like the bare minimum. And you went outside your scope and, you know, diversified yourself to where, like you say, you're doing what you able to do today and cut different textures and styles and grades of hair and all that good stuff.
Because for me, I'm trying to be successful, but I feel like you can't, if you set the bar to end at a very minimal, that's all you're going to be really worth. And I don't want to just be worth the bare minimum.
Man, I hear you on that.
I kind of want to set my own expectations of what I feel like I can do. And if I don't make it, I mean, my failures, my successes are solely depend on myself.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to work for myself. It's kind of why I got out of the military. It wasn't that I hated it like some people would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for me, I had a different expectation for myself of what I wanted to do in my life. And I like the idea of just being my own boss. I like the idea of like, if I fail, I can only blame myself. If I succeed, no one could be taking credit for my success and my accomplishments. So that's kind of how I am. I mean, again, everybody has their own preferences. That's more or less me.
For sure.
I feel like for a lot of people, as people will try too hard to please other people, and they don't, especially parents and stuff like that. I mean, again, growing up the way I grew up, your parents kind of want to tell you how to live your life. They want to pick your career field. They want you to do this. They want you to do that. But they never really, like, let you be you. And I feel like there's a very few professions where you can be yourself and there's no judgment zone. Mm-hmm. And some of those careers just so happen to be a career where, you know, you work for yourself or you're doing something that's not suit and tie. I mean, that's my style. That's who I am. I'm just someone that I'm not a people pleaser. I like to make my customers happy, but I don't live for nobody but myself.
Exactly.
That and my family. I mean, that's what I like about being a barber is, I mean, I have 2 sons, and I can kind of also be their barber. If they want certain styles or stuff, I could do things for them. I can kind of let them experience and be their own person. If they want long hair, short hair, whatever it is they want, I'm going to support them. And, you know, my wife's going to support them, and we're going to be good.
Man, and that got to be cool for them, especially, you know, as they get older, like, you know, they dad being a barber, it's like, you know, they always going to be fresh. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Can't settle for anything less than that.
Mm-hmm. You got to think school pictures, or they got a game coming up. You know what I mean? Homecoming, proms.
I'm not do it all.
You know what I mean? And everybody be trying to get in at the same time at one shop.
No, they got the shop right here.
There it is. Too, if there's you know, any barbers out there that's, you know, maybe trying to get their name out there, trying to come up off the ground, is there any like words of advice, or even looking back at the, you know, the 18-year-old you, knowing what you know now, any words that you would probably give yourself, or anything that you would do differently?
Oh yeah, don't take chances. Never just settle for the bare minimum. And one thing is you don't need the most expensive equipment to start off. I think the biggest thing for me too is just patience, you know. Everything may not come as fast for one person as it does for another. Yeah. So you can't hold yourself to an expectation of someone else because they're doing something faster than you. If you want to succeed, you gotta do it at your pace.
And that's an easy trap to get to, you know, fall into, especially like your peers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
You see somebody progressing and you're like, man, you know, trying to look at like, what am I doing, you know?
Well, yeah, because you're gonna see, especially in the barber game, there's a lot of people. I mean, I think the biggest thing is don't focus so much on the social media and stuff, because I feel like everybody sees a lot of these barbers and they feel like they gotta go start a YouTube the next day. It's like, for me, I think you gotta learn your craft to where you're comfortable before you jump the gun, before you rush into trying to be like the rest of the big time barbers. I mean, they all started just like you did.
Yeah.
They all started doing the very bare minimum, you know, probably working at the back of the shop, not getting much clientele, and you know, they all had to start just like we all had to start. So
It just don't happen overnight.
it's not gonna happen overnight. I mean, for some people, they'll have the connects, they'll have the ability, and some people are gonna be better than you. That's just inevitable. But you gotta focus on your hustle. Don't worry about anybody else's hustle, because like I said, we're all different. And the next person's hustle doesn't mean it's going to be the same as yours. You gotta focus on yours, and that's it. Don't worry about nobody else.
Sure. That's some good knowledge right there.
Yeah, because 18-year-old me was too worried about everybody else's opinions or trying to keep up with the latest trends or try to keep up with this person. And I think that was a big flaw I had, because I was too busy trying to keep up, worrying about everybody else's thoughts.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about just how can I make me better. I was too focused on what everybody else was doing, and that wasn't making me better. That was slowing me down.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But that's you know, it's real good knowledge. You know, somebody like yourself, like you say, you got you know, 2 sons, so that's definitely, you know, something you went through for them. You know, so for them growing up, you know, they know to, you know, focus on what it is. You know, they passionate about what they do, and like you said, not worry about, you know, the next person. That way, you know, you can put that energy into, you know, your craft and making you know what I mean?
Yeah, I told my kids, if they want to learn the barber stuff, I'm more than ready to teach them and, you know, get them in the right direction. But I mean, if that's not what they're passionate about, they got to do what they love.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think a big thing about being a barber, it's something it's not a 401k job where you have benefits, you have all the stuff. Like picking a partner someone that really supports you, because you know, if they're looking for their idea of stability and you're not giving that to them because you want to be a barber and they want this and that, like, it's not going to work. So having a partner, be your significant other, make sure that they're supportive of what you're doing, because they're going to be kind of what motivates you to keep going, or what makes you want to give up.
So that can definitely, like you said, make or break you in a sense.
Yeah, because if you don't feel like you have support of the person that you feel like you care about most, then, you know, what do you really have?
Exactly.
It's big like that. You know, you gotta have someone that supports you and doesn't. I mean, I spend money on my home barber shop, and I take time out of my hour in the day to kind of give my attention to my clients, and that kind of takes away from my family time. But it doesn't. As long as she's behind me and it doesn't affect my relationship, because I know if she has my back, then I'm not really worried about it. I know I can keep grinding, I can keep doing what I'm doing, you know, being successful.
Exactly. Making sure everybody on the same page and they know why you're doing this. It's you know, to take care of your family.
Exactly. You don't want to fall short of your, you know, you got to chase your dreams, but, you know, you got to prioritize too. Because that doesn't mean they're gonna be. You can't let your dreams sometimes, you know, affect your relationship and your family. Because I didn't, when I first started. I mean, if she wasn't supportive of me, I'd be, you know, it'd be more arguments and less money. But you know, if you find someone that really supports you, then you know it's all up from you.
Absolutely, man. That's definitely That's definitely something that's key, especially like you said, if you got a family and you're trying to, still do what you love to do, and it's not, like you said, not just a hobby, something that's actually going to help take care of your family. It's important to just make sure everybody's on the same page, and you have that proper balance, and everybody understands why it is you're doing what you do.
Like I said, man, you're gonna determine your success or your fate. And one thing I could definitely tell these other barbers is don't, like I was saying earlier, is don't compare yourself to the next barber. You've seen all these YouTube videos where it's like barber does 20 cuts in 8 hours. Don't rush your craft trying to compete with somebody else.
Yeah.
Perfect what you got going on, making sure that you're doing the best for your client, and you're cutting their hair to their satisfaction, not to yours.
Yeah. And with that, the clients they'll keep coming back because
I can say that. I could definitely say that because not only just you, but I've had, even when I've moved around, and I wasn't as close, I've had a lot of my clients stay faithful. They would make the trip, or if I'm not available on a certain day, they'll
wait it out.
They'll hold out
For sure.
to get a haircut, and that's a good feeling when you know your clients have that kind of that loyalty to you and that trust. Because where I'm from, respect and loyalty. That's one of the biggest things. In an Italian household, respect is big. In my neighborhood, if you didn't have respect from people, people kind of just walked all over you. Your word wasn't really anything. So you had to kind of earn that respect.
I feel that.
And it's important.
And obviously, like when we talked earlier, you got I'm assuming you got family kind of spread out too, New York, Florida, things like that. Do you have any family shout outs specifically, or anybody that just kind of just inspired you along the way, or just there for you? That anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, my grandfather, unfortunately, he's not here anymore. But when you see the brand, you see the name,
For sure.
it was all, from my grandfather. My mom always being supportive of me. My father, he had my back. So all my family is really my big motivation. Then my kids, my sons and my wife are the top players on my team. So that's they're what keeps the wheels grinding and keeps me motivated every day. So definitely my wife and my kids are some of the biggest.
Definitely respect that, man. And lastly, man, anybody who's been checking out this pod today, where can they find you if they seeing this and they're like, hey, I need to get a cut? Or do you have any socials, anything where they can tap in or see some of your work?
I definitely do. I could give it to you, Brian. You can tag it in the video.
For sure.
It's the Falco J's Cuts and Social. You can find me on Instagram. If you want to set up, if you're in the Colorado Springs area, you want to set an appointment up, just hit me up on Instagram. I'll give you my number, and we'll set an appointment up.
For sure, man. I definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Like I said, long overdue. We've been planning this for a while, but finally making it happen.
Oh yeah. But hey, patience is a virtue.
Yeah, it is.
Here's a cut.
Yes, sir. And to all the viewers out there, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching yet another episode of Transparent Podcast. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Let me go deeper. Not enough likes on Instagram.
You could keep making video for likes. It's not enough. Eventually, it's going to betray you.
Sometimes while we're expecting heaven to move, heaven is expecting us to move.
Parents, carry y'all kids to church so they can hear the word.